Hi, my name is Clint, and today we're going to teach you how to take a farrowing feeder and install our PigEasy MealMeter into it. What you're going to need is a simple couple handle of welding clamps, a hand grinder, a hammer, a center punch, our jig, and a handful of various tools, along with a water line and our boot. The big question everybody has about our MealMeter system is using an old farrowing feeder with our system. And what we came up with is a template that you can simply put on here, and it will help you to make the hole for the mounting and for our boot. The small holes on this template, you can either mark it and drill it out for the size of hole required, or you can knock it out and plas everything while you plas our big hole for our boot. The easiest and fastest way we found is using a plas to make all the holes. And to do that, we're going to knock out this knockout to make our holes the size that we need to use our plas. The nice part about this template, it virtually fits any feeder that you have. It can go on either side of the feeder, and the bar here will go down and slide next to it, and this will give you enough clearance for our boot to work on your feeder. You need to make sure that it sits flat and square on the back of your feeder. It also hits the top of your feeder, and it will give you a perfect fit for our MealMeter boot. The best way to start a plas job is to clamp everything down. Here I have the feeder clamped to my workstation and the template completely clamped flat to the feeder. That's going to be for your best straight cut throughout the whole process. And you want to make sure before you start that everything is going to clear all your clamps before you start plasing. Ultimately, this is what you want your cuts to look like when you're done plasing. It's your personal preference, but around our farm, we like to grind all of our slack off for a nice clean cut. Next step in installing our MealMeter system into an existing farrowing feeder is installing a water source into the bowl, and it being the only water source the sow has. Installation of a water bracket into an existing farrowing feeder. We just simply have a simple water here, and we recommend that you put the bottom of the pipe 3 inches off the bottom of your feeder. And here, in this instance, we have a simple bracket template made for our plas to make it as fast and simple as possible. What we have made is going to centerize our water bracket in the dead center, and we have measured out our template holes for our plas to make it line up where it needs to be at the 3-inch mark from the bottom of the feeder to the bottom of the water pipe. To maximize the MealMeter system and feed intake into a sow, we strongly recommend a weep hole in the bottom of the feeder, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch off the bottom, and about a 3/16 to a 1/4 inch weep hole. So that way your water, if you got leaky water gets away, your sow will get up, eat more than likely. Typically you could use a drill bit, but in this case we have the plas in hand and the feeder in front of us. So I'm going to simply make a small 3/16 to 1/4 inch hole for the weep hole. Now that we have all of our holes cut, we can install the MealMeter boot and the water line. To start with the boot, I use 2 1/4 inch bolts. I put them into the existing pre-drilled holes in the boot, and I put them into the feeder. Then I take a drill into the hole that we cut and mark it for the big bolt that goes above it. Then I simply drill the hole. Installing the water bracket is simply 2/4 inch bolts, identical to the one that you put in the boot. We highly recommend putting the bolt through the back of the feeder and putting the nut on the inside of the feeder, simply for finish everything up. You just need to tighten all your bolts and nuts. For the water line, it's slotted, so it determines where you've made all your holes. Pick where you think fits best, adjust it to the appropriate height, and tighten everything down with the tools of your choice. With everything tightened down, the final step is to put in your MealMeter. I just have a simple pliers locked into the dump hole. I slide it in and turn it back. Once you hear that click, spin it, everything should clear, and you have a working ad lib feeder system.